guys, it's Vampire Mike from SegaCDUniverse.com. This video is a slight video response to a excellent YouTuber, but also kind of my own stuff thrown in. That YouTuber is Johnny Millennium, aka the HappyConsoleGamer. I will put his link down in the description. I am sure all of you know who he is. He is a great YouTuber from Canada who talks all about his gaming memories, which is what my favorite thing is that he talks about. Kind of has a lot of nostalgia wrapped into it, and he's always bringing his friend Rob on, and they wax poetic about all the games they loved as kids and what they meant to them. So it's a great channel. But he had done a video, I think it was last year, I don't recall, called Neo Geo Rocks, and I'm late to the party here for a couple of reasons. But it was a great video. It was a two-parter actually about all the Neo Geo stuff he loved and why he loved it. So if you know anything about Neo Geo, really what it was it was a bunch of arcade machines that they then converted to home machines. So I believe the arcade, they do convert now into home machines, you know, from the internals from the arcade systems, and those are called, I believe, MVS machines. I think it's like multi-video system, I want to say. Then there's the AES, which is the actual home console that SNK came out with, you know, the Neo Geo consoles, and that's Advanced Entertainment System, I believe. Don't quote me on that, I'm not 100%. So, first off, I'm going to start with the memory, which is kind of what ties into Johnny's video in the first place, his response. When I was a child, I lived in the Bronx, and down the block we had like a bodega and like a pizzeria and a video store and all that type of stuff. And I'm pretty sure it was the pizzeria. They had a big Neo Geo machine. And back then, I don't believe Nintendo and Sega Genesis was out yet, or it might have just been around when it was coming out, but I don't remember that. I remember having an NES, because I kind of, you know, remember in life where I was and where I lived and how old I was with gaming, you know. So, I remember having an NES and playing, you know, all these games I loved, River City Ransom and Ninja Gaiden and all that stuff. And then I went and saw this arcade machine, and I was so taken aback by the graphics and the sound and everything. And what Neo Geo machines used to be like was they were bright red, and they would have, I believe it was 4 buttons and a joystick. I'm still to this day not good with arcade sticks. And the graphics were just phenomenal, and I'd never seen anything like it. So I think I popped a couple quarters in, and I remember playing King of Monsters, and I remember playing Cyberlip, I believe. Cyberlip is kind of like Metal Slug, a little more cyberpunkish, a little more Total Recall-ish. But I'm pretty sure I played both of those, because I remember years later playing King of Monsters on, I think, the SNES or the Genesis, and getting excited because I remember playing it in the on this arcade machine. So part of the story is I'd gotten back home, and I don't know how long after I played the arcade, we saw the Neo Geo, you know, AES machines in like a video game magazine, and I showed my dad. My dad said, my dad is very, he's got a big heart, so he's always trying to like do for me and do for my family. That's just the kind of guy he is. So he says to me, "You really want that, huh?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, this is the cool," you know, nothing like that looked that good then, or was that advanced or sophisticated. So I said, "Oh, definitely." And he was like, it was like $500 or $600. I think you had to order it, I don't know if it was from Japan or something to do with like, I think like a bundle with a couple games. So it ended up being like $500 or $600. I don't exactly remember. So he's like, "Yeah, I'll get you one of those." And I don't know if I said to him or if my mother said to him, that's kind of a lot of money. So long story short, he never got me the Neo Geo. I didn't begrudge him because he didn't get me. That's not what this video is about. It's just the nice memory I have of my dad, you know, offering to buy me this thing. So again, I never got it. I don't know why it didn't come to fruition, but it didn't. So now years later, still to this day, Neo Geo AES consoles and the MVS arcade conversions are expensive. The machines are reasonable to a degree, a few $100, $200, $300, I think. The game cartridges are these huge mothers. They're like this big, and it's just one game, and they go for an absurd amount of money. Some of them are in the $50 range, $30 range. Some of them are hundreds or thousands of dollars. So, from what I've seen. So, they came out with this thing. It's pretty much an emulator with a docking station. And it's made It's licensed by SNK, made by Tomo, and released in North America and I believe other countries, but again, don't quote me on that. People are kind of beating the thing up a bit, but I just wanted to talk about my experience. So, I picked this up the other day on eBay. It's called the Neo Geo X Gold. It's called Gold because I think that's the limited edition name. And the limited edition came with the docking station, which I'll show you in a moment, and it came with the Ninja Masters game, which I always confuse with Ninja Warriors, but they're very different. Ninja Masters is a beat 'em up like Street Fighter with ninjas, and Ninja Warriors is like a Sega CD title that was also a Mega CD title that was also on, was it TurboGrafx or something? It was on another console, and it was a side-scrolling fighting game that I really didn't like. So I got confused when I first got this. I was like, oh god, not Ninja Warriors, but it wasn't. It was Ninja Masters, so I'm glad. So I picked this up. As you can tell, the box is a little beat up. It's peeling, a little banged up. They actually shipped it in the box, which I don't like, but what can you do? And I got, the system initially came out at the end of the year, 2012, and it went for $200. It came with the docking station, a handheld, HDMI cord, composite cables, the arcade stick, or controller, if you will, and 20 built-in games and extra game, which was Ninja Masters. You see, I'm already almost calling it Warriors again. The games included are, I'm going to name them real quick: 3 Count Bout, Fatal Fury, League Bowling, Puzzled, Alpha Mission 2, Fatal Fury Special, Magician Lord, Real Bout, Fatal Fury Special, Samurai Showdown 2, Metal Slug, King of Fighters 95, Art of Fighting, Baseball Stars 2, King of Monsters, Mutation Nation, Super Sidekicks, World Heroes Perfect, Nom 1975, Last Resort, and Cyberlip. So the 2 games I mentioned playing as a kid are included. They also came out recently with a Classics Pack. The Classics Pack are, I think, 3 games per box, and there's 5 boxes out. Then they make a Mega Pack, which encompasses all 15 of those titles, and it runs about $79.99 currently. Excuse me. If you were to buy the Classics Pack with the 3 games a piece, like let's say you only like these 3 games and you don't want to spend $80 because you don't like the rest of the other games, it's $25. But if you were to buy all, 15 together in that Mega Pack, it's worth it for all of them. It actually shaves some money off. So let me show you what the item looks like first. So this is it. It models the AES home console, as you see. It feels nice, but it's a little cheaper, a little flimsier than I expected. They did say they used the same molds or plastic as they did with the original home console, except this one, it uses a different kind of plastic, which I guess would, is why this is like softer and thinner feeling. Some kind of different plastic. So normally with the AES, you would stick the cartridge, there we go. You'd stick the cartridge in here. This is just a dummy slot. This doesn't open or close. This goes to the main menu, which shows you which firmware you're running on your Neo Geo X. And what else is there? It also goes back to the main menu if you want to quit the game. Up here you got the, let's see if I can show you that. Sorry guys, light's not so great in here. You got the power switch, which turns the console on and off. 2 USB ports, which for the arcade sticks. This opens it, and then in the back you have a mini HDMI to HDMI. The AV out, which is composite, and the DC in, which is the AC adapter. I'm not going to show you those, but so everything feels pretty light, which was kind of disappointing. Also, the cords on both the arcade stick and the, I would say HDMI as well, but the DC out especially, is very thin. Everything's very thin. Let me see if I can show you it. See? Little thin. I mean, it's nice, it's fine, it gets the job done, but it's thin. On top of that, the arcade stick has micro switches, just like the Neo Geo, just like the Neo Geo Pocket Color. Sadly, this doesn't have any. Well, maybe it doesn't make a lot of a noise, so I think it's a little looser. But anyhow, this is extremely. Sorry, that was my phone. This is extremely light. Again, they said it was made from the same material, or not the same material, same type of plastic, but like a newer rendition or something. So that's how come it's lighter. It has all the Neo Geo insignia on it, SNK, all that fun stuff. Let me now show you the inside of this bad boy. So I keep moving over to the right for some reason. Maybe I should focus the camera to the right. So you push this button here, this slider, it slides open, and it's pretty much, you know, as you see, it's just a docking station. I'll take this out and show you. So it's pretty much hollow, and move this. In there is a little diagram showing you how to place your Neo Geo X handheld. That's pretty much what the system is. It's a handheld. But this docking station is, I guess, part of the limited edition. Is my battery dying? Oh geez, I gotta get through with this quick. So there's the connections for the HDMI and, you know, all that stuff that plugs in. I don't know if you can see it very well. It's kind of dark. I can probably see it now, right? And the handheld just slides into there. So some of the problems people were naming, besides the cheap feeling plastic, was that the games aren't perfectly emulated, because it's all on emulators. It's not actual legit Neo Geo hardware. They were complaining of very bad composite HDMI, screen tearing, audio issues, really like staticky audio. Luckily, with those classic and mega packs I spoke of earlier, you're able to upgrade your Neo Geo X's to firmware of 500. And then I think there's a 500A that they're giving you if the 500 isn't working for you. I'm not exactly sure what the 500A differs from in terms of things. But some people are having a lot of issues upgrading their Neo Geo X's, and they're bricking them, and then they're having to send back the mega pack and get the correct firmware and then redo it. It also comes with this little cable that's actually inside, and it's called a rocket cable. That cable plugs the handheld into the wall if you want to charge it with the AC adapter from the dock, which is kind of silly. Or it also does the firmware upgrades. If you flick a switch on the side of it, you can do the firmware upgrades through it. All the games are built into the console, and then you have other ones like this one. This is the classic 3-pack with Sengoku, Metal Slug 2, and Top Hunter are on these modified SD cards that SNK made, or Tomo, or whatever, and they're not like normal ones. So people are hacking them, but they've also stopped that with the new 500 firmware. So with the new firmware, just in case you're wondering, it makes the audio much better. It completely makes the composite almost unusable. It looks horrible, even worse. The HDMI looks much better, but there's still screen tearing. I said the audio was better already. And the other thing was that people are saying that the sound is reversed. So instead of left speaker, right speaker, it's switched for some reason on the TV. I'm not really sure why. I have noticed a slight bit, like a touch, of input lag between the arcade stick and the TV's movements. So I don't know if that's due to the newer TVs with their processing power, or maybe there's just slight input lag. The 500 firmware update was supposed to address that as well, and it did to a degree supposedly, but that's all I've had is the 500 firmware because I purchased it online used. It's like new. I got the whole thing, plus that Classics 3-pack and the firmware installed already, which was a feat unto itself because of people complaining that it's breaking their systems, for $120 shipped. The consoles are going for about now 150 to 160 new, and then as I said, that Classic 3-pack was about $25, so I got a pretty good deal. This is the handheld. This is also very light, but I really like the feeling of it. I feel it feels well built to me. It has the micro switches, just like the Neo Geo Pocket Color. It's actually nicer. It's got some more, you know, clickage to it. It has the menu button that again goes and shows you your firmware and can send you back to the main menu to quit a game. Oh, the firmware also added a save feature. So certain games now, when you exit, it says, would you like to save, and you continue where you left off. You lose your points, but you continue where you left off. Because if you remember, the Neo Geo is all arcade-based, so they didn't really give you saves, but, you know, they implemented it. I think you have to have a card in, though, a game card. All the buttons here, the start button, and then you have L1, L2, R2, R1. Now, the one thing I don't like about these top buttons, I mean, luckily you don't really use them for the game. Like, one of them changes the screen ratio from 4:3 to 16:9. One of them pauses the game. They seem very, like, sensitive. Like, if I push over here, nothing happens, but I have to go to the corner and actually push the corner, you know? Or these seem like you have to really push them down. I don't think they're broken or stuck. I think it's just the way the material is. The power switch is on the side, and then on the top you have all the connections that you'll be plugging into the docking station, which is mini HDMI, mini USB, and the AV out. As you see, it says SNK on the back. It's got this nice kind of like rubber grip to it. And then there's also a headphone jack, a volume buttons, and brightness. This looks really nice, and you can't tell about the screen tearing, and I assume the audio is stereo, I think. No, it doesn't look it. There's two little holes here, but I'm not sure if the audio is stereo. I don't know, maybe put the headphones on, but either way, I don't hear any audio issues. Not that, you know, they're non-existent now with the 500 version, but the screen tearing you don't notice, I guess because the screen is smaller, and the lag seems to be better. So maybe it's just some adjustments in the future firmware update they'll do to completely overhaul or fix the rest of the issues on the docking station. This is the arcade stick. Again, it's just based off after the original AES, and has the nice micro switches, like I said. Select start. It doesn't have the R and the L because, again, they're not really needed. It's not for gaming. It's more for options and like pausing and stuff. And then it has A, B, C, D. Again, it's very light, like I said before. So I tried this out last night for maybe 30-40 minutes. Not too long. I really want to sit down and actually have like a day of gaming with some friends, hook up a second controller. I have another friend who owns one, so luckily he could bring his controller over. For the price I paid for it, I'm happy. Do I think it's perfect emulation? No. I think the graphics are nice, especially HDMI. I mean, if it comes out, I believe 720p. But the composite is supposedly garbage, and I wouldn't use composite on a newer TV if I had the option. People are really bashing it. I don't think it deserves the beating it's getting, but I also understand that if you don't like emulation and you wanted a legit home Neo Geo console, you're kind of not getting that. You're getting an emulated console with some of the handhelds actually have, supposedly, I didn't open mine, have a SD card with all the preloaded games and the BIOS glued to the motherboard on the handheld. So it's an emulation machine that runs some form of Linux and then some form of emulation. I didn't look too deep into it because, again, it doesn't really matter to me as long as I can play the games. So people are put off by that. They're put off by the material and how it feels. They're put off by the emulation quality, especially initially with the audio issues and the staticky and the HDMI, I think, quality that people didn't like. But again, they fixed a good portion of the problem so far. So, as I said, I spent $120. Had I spent $150 and purchased it new, would I be happy? Yes. Had I been an early adopter and spent $200, would I be happy? I think that might have been a little much for me. I think they give you a good amount of stuff. I think it's nice that they gave you a limited edition and that they are even putting something like this out for its fans, because I personally have never and probably wouldn't be able to afford a Neo Geo, especially with the cartridges being so absurdly expensive. So I think it's a cool item. I think if you're a stickler and you have a Neo Geo AES or MVS and you really know these games down pat, you're going to probably be a little disappointed. If you're like me and you're looking to have a good time, you don't really care as much about the build quality, or you feel like you'll take it easy on it, you're not going to break it or rip a wire or something, then you'll like it. Again, I was really impressed. I like this. I think the screen's really nice. I think the joystick's really nice. These buttons, as I said, were a little for me. These buttons were nice. This is very light. This gets about 3 to 4 hours of a charge, by the way, via, like I said, either the docking station, directly into the docking station, or the rocket cable that you can do the firmware upgrades on, or you can switch it and just put it on C for charge, and you can plug that into this and then plug the AC adapter from the docking station, which again, just unless you have a second AC adapter, seems kind of just, you know, like extra work. But that's it. I really like it so far. I'm excited to really dig into it more. From what I played, I enjoyed it. And if you want to have something that can play HDMI, that hopefully in the future they'll keep supporting with more SD card titles and more firmware upgrades to fix these issues, I would check it out. If you're a stickler, then you might shy away from it. But that was it. Thank you, Johnny, for the question. I hope I didn't rant on for too long, 19 minutes. And thanks, guys, for watching. It's Vampire Mike from SegaCDUniverse.com. Be good.